My wife, Olivia, who had been married to me for 3 years, looked at me as I slowly lost the breath of life, her face full of vindictive satisfaction. Why? Why did you do this to me? I no longer had the strength to struggle. I was no longer afraid of death. Instead, it felt like a release, and answers gradually formed in my mind. Olivia and I grew up together. When we became adults, our parents arranged the marriage, and it seemed the natural course of things. In the 3 years we were married, I obeyed her in everything. Whatever she wanted, I would almost always give without question. I never let her suffer even the slightest grievance. My love for her was sincere and wholehearted, but she was unusually cold toward me, even hateful. Apart from holding her hand on the wedding day, I hadn't even earned a kiss from her in all those years. Though we were husband and wife, we had none of the intimacy of spouses. We were more like the most familiar strangers. She would rather smile at other men than speak an extra word to me. Later, I found out she had cheated 1 month after we married. Countless times when I wasn't home, she brought that man she'd shifted her affections to back to our house and indulge him in our home, on our bed. Do you know? I hate you to death, she said like an emotionless machine, putting her foot on my face, the hatred in her eyes cold and cutting. If it weren't for you, I would have been his wife long ago. For what you've done to me, you deserve to die. Did you think what you did would tear us apart? No, you were wrong. It only made us cherish each other more. Let me tell you, so you die knowing the truth. She mercilessly trod on my face, trampling my dignity and my deep love for her. Her words were like sharp knives plunging in my heart. These 3 years, I never left him. Night after night, I slept by his side. And you? You actually foolishly said you were working hard to give me a better life. Huh. Ridiculous. Who were you pretending to love? You don't even know how your mother died, do you? I'll tell you, you killed her. If it weren't for you, your mother would never have come and discovered me with him. She wouldn't have been infuriated to death. So, you killed your mother. Hearing her nearly hysterical words, my head buzzed. I was almost suffocating and my vision blurred. A month earlier, my mother learned that Olivia and I were arguing over a divorce and had moved out. To persuade her not to divorce, Mom made a rich cream soup and took it to the apartment where Olivia was staying. When she opened the door, she walked into Olivia being intimate with a man. My mother couldn't catch her breath, fainted, and was taken to the hospital but couldn't be saved. She died just like that. I don't remember exactly how she told me. I only remember my mind going blank and feeling completely drained of life. Olivia, you bitch, I'll kill you. I used every ounce of strength to struggle, but my body felt not my own. My consciousness grew heavy and sank into darkness. He's dead. This poison is powerful. 1 minute and it takes his life. Husband, I love you so much. No one will stop us from being together now. Everything of his is ours. When I came to, I realized I had been reborn back to the day of the wedding. At this moment, the restaurant hall was silent. All the relatives and friends looked at Olivia, the bride, with confusion and incomprehension. She should have been in a wedding dress, but she was instead wearing matching couple outfits with someone else, and the person she held hands with was not me, the groom, but another man. According to the original course of events, Olivia and I would already have become husband and wife by now. But she came with another man, disrupted the wedding, and told her father and everyone present that she had someone she loved, that she didn't like me at all, and would never marry me. George's face visibly flushed with embarrassment and awkwardness. He raised his hand and slapped Olivia. What are you doing? Are you out of your mind? Even if you and Ethan argued, you can't make a joke like this. Be good. Listen to your father. Finish the wedding ceremony properly. We could talk about anything else when we get home. He forced an awkward smile at the other guests. No, Olivia, who had just been slapped, did not look wronged. She grew more determined, grabbed Dylan's hand and said, "We are true love. If you like Ethan, then you marry him yourselves. Why should I sacrifice my happiness to help you?" Before she could finish, her mother, Emma, slapped her. Dylan, distressed, shielded Olivia and stepped forward to argue with her parents, passionately insisting that he and Olivia truly loved each other and that he would not let her be wronged. He begged George and Emma to allow them to be together and not force her to marry someone who would make her unhappy. For a moment, the entire banquet hall fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. I stood there stunned, my mind a blank, ears ringing. I couldn't make out what they were arguing about. Because everything happening before my eyes, their words, I had already lived through once. In the last life, yes, the last life. In the previous life, it happened exactly like this. Just before we were to become husband and wife, Dylan showed up on her urging to steal the wedding and begged George to let them be together. I remember saying at the time, "It's fine, Olivia. If you like him, we'll cancel the engagement and let you be together. But let me warn you, he seems to care more about your money than about you." It was that sentence that humiliated her, made everyone laugh at me, and caused her to resent me for 3 years, until she finally tore off the mask and confessed when she poisoned me to death. Olivia was a pampered young lady who couldn't resist Dylan's sweet talk. She naively believed he was the happiness she wanted. And me? Since she was 18, I'd been by her side without leaving, caring for her and spoiling her, giving her everything she wanted and offering her my true heart. Parker Enterprises was just a mediocre small firm on the brink of losing projects and facing bankruptcy. Without my help, it would have folded long ago. Later, with my support, the company gradually grew into a major corporation in Vase City, and the Parker family rose into the ranks of the wealthy elite. Olivia used that as a springboard to enter Vase City's high society circles and became a glittering socialite. So people in that circle often said, with envy and jealousy, Olivia was simply lucky to have a boyfriend who loved her very much. Without Ethan, the Parkers would be nothing. My friends were also puzzled. There were many women more outstanding than Olivia. So why did I only care about her? Was this true love? Honestly, I didn't know myself whether it was true love. All I knew was I couldn't let her be wronged. I wanted to protect her. I will never forget the day I first saw Sophia. I lost the most important person in my life. My father was in a car accident and died on the spot. I was only 16 then, still full of innocence and naivety about the world, yet I suffered such a crushing blow. That day, I saw Mom in a morgue holding Dad's body, crying so heartbroken it was indescribable. It wasn't until the doctor confirmed that Mom would be okay and would wake up after some rest that I finally couldn't hold on and started to cry. From that moment on, I knew that from then on, the only one who could protect Mom and hold this family together was me. It was also after that I dared not show any weakness. Whatever I did, I forced myself to keep going. But I was still just a child. The toughness I pretended with couldn't hide the fragility inside. Countless nights, I would sneak out of the house to find somewhere to clutch my head and sob, to vent the pressure in my chest. Until one time, my crying in the dark attracted an angel who could light up my life and give me the courage to carry on. "Big brother, why are you hiding here crying?" She crawled out from behind the weeds, leaves caught in her hair, a little mud on her face, looking a bit disheveled but especially adorable. She blinked her pretty big eyes and cautiously reached out, comforting the trembling, crying boy hiding in the dark. I don't have a father anymore. For some reason, her presence gradually calmed me. A flash of sadness crossed her eyes. She sighed softly and wrapped her slight arms around me. "It's okay. I don't have a mother either. My dad told me not to be sad when people die. They turn into stars in the sky and keep watching us. If they see us crying, they'll be sad too. Big brother, lift your head and look. The brightest star in the night sky might be your dad. If he sees you crying, he's sad for you too." In her cool, fragile embrace, I tentatively looked up at the night sky. Sure enough, one star was shining as if answering me. That night we talked a lot and promised not to leave each other easily. In our most vulnerable times, only we could rely on each other. Later, more than half a year passed. I waited for a long time at the spot we'd agreed on, but she never showed up again. I went mad searching for her. The heart that had finally felt full became empty again. I had to know why she abandoned me. I searched for a long time with no trace of her. Until 2.5 years later, when I entered the university gate, I recognized her at a glance in the crowded throng. They say a girl changes a lot. After 2.5 years, she was even more graceful and her temperament more outstanding. If I hadn't been struck by her smile before, I might have brushed past her and never crossed paths again in this life. But fate, like back then, played a joke and returned her to my side. I pushed through the crowd, stopped her in her tracks, and asked the question that had been buried in my heart for 2.5 years. Why did you suddenly not show up and abandon me? She hadn't expected me to appear. After a moment of bewilderment, she answered awkwardly. Later, I found out we're not from the same world. You're the only heir of the Johnson Group, and I'm just the child of an ordinary family. I'm not worthy of you, so I chose to leave, to disappear from your life. Hearing her reply, for some reason my nose prickled. All my resentment toward her in that instant turned into affection. Young feelings are impulsive and often without reason, and without a father to guide me in forming a proper view of love, I only knew to follow behind her, to protect her as much as possible and not let her be wronged. I thought that was love. I often woke up very early to buy her breakfast, accompanied her to and from school, doing everything like a guardian to the best of my ability. When I found out her roommates mocked her backpack as market stall stuff and her cosmetics as cheap, I immediately gave her a supplementary card with no limit, and even pulled strings with management at our overseas branch to get her limited edition bags and cosmetics. Price was never an issue. When she received the gifts, she looked ecstatic. Those roommates gazed at her with envy. In that moment, she enjoyed the pleasure brought by vanity. After that, it was as if I'd found a way to please her. Every month, I found ways to send her the latest luxury items and cosmetics. Friends all knew I was pursuing Olivia, but when they learned I'd given so much without even holding her hand once, they defended me, calling me a sucker, laughed at my persistence, and said she was just using me. Look at the other rich kids in our circle. Even if they're young, they're already intimate with their partners. I said I didn't mind, but inside I felt bitter. Officially I had Olivia, but it felt like I'd never truly had her. When she sensed my thoughts, her smile vanished in an instant. I saw visible disgust and impatience in her eyes, but she told me otherwise. She said she was a conservative girl who could accept my kindness and favor in good conscience, but she couldn't accept the relationship progressing too fast, holding hands today, kissing tomorrow, and maybe taking advantage the day after. Fine. I believed her and respected her wishes, always thinking that sooner or later we'd be as close as other couples. Until later, at the wedding ceremony, when Dylan appeared, I found out. Her conservatism applied only to me. She could comfortably enjoy my good treatment while holding hands and kissing other men. Just before our wedding, she finally chose between the two and decided she didn't love me. I wasn't the man she wanted. Her father and stepmother were forcing her to marry me. If she swallowed it this time, she would never be happy again. So for her own happiness, she ripped off the facade of a good girl. Maybe others didn't know what kind of person Dylan was, but I knew very well this kid was scum and a bastard. He used sweet words to deceive my brother Jake's sister Mia, making her think she'd found true love, so she gave everything without reservation. Only when it drained all her usefulness did he show his true colors and toss her away like garbage. Mia nearly jumped off a building. Jake, furious, dragged me to find him, and we beat him up. That night, he was still entangled with another woman at a bar. After getting beaten, he knelt like this and wept, saying he and Mia truly loved each other. Jake isn't stupid. Men understand men. And after beating him again and using the family's connections, the matter was settled. Who knew this dog a man never learned his lesson? He tracked Olivia down through Mia's social account, and Olivia couldn't withstand his flowery sweet talk. Damn, it's you again. Last time you didn't die, and now you dare cheat on my brother. Hearing Jake's roar at the wedding, I came to my senses and stared blankly at the two kneeling there claiming to love each other. Remembering what Olivia said to me before I nearly died, I realized how foolish my past self had been to believe such a woman. Seeing my elderly mother's worried face beside me, hatred surged through me like a dam burst. I wanted to kill her immediately, but I'm not someone who loses control easily. I know that everything I experienced was from my previous life. This life hasn't happened yet. I can completely avoid the series of tragedies that followed. There's no need to ruin myself over things that haven't even occurred. Maybe heaven pitied me and gave me a chance to live my life again. I intend to seize it and live as my true self. As for Olivia, didn't she like Dylan? Weren't they truly in love? Fine, I'll let them be. I'm also curious what ending that scumbag Dylan and Olivia will have without my interference. Olivia is a wealthy girl overflowing with vanity, and Dylan is a classic Phoenix man, living off others, sucking people dry. I have to admit, they suit each other quite well. I was about to speak when Jake suddenly yelled at me, which startled me. Ethan, if you dare forgive her this time, I'm done with you. We're not brothers anymore. Mia, standing behind him, quickly grabbed him, teeth clenched and eyes complicated, watching Dylan hold Olivia's hand. One was a former boyfriend who had hurt her, the other, a former close friend. I don't know what she was thinking at that moment. Jake also knew I'd always indulged Olivia without limits. Whatever she did, I would forgive her. George became the center of attention. Everyone's eyes turned to him, with contempt, sneers, and whispers. It made him unbearably embarrassed. His face flushed bright red. Olivia, you disappointed me. He raised his hand and slapped Olivia while I put on an act of raising mine. Of course, I didn't actually stop him. The slap landed hard across Olivia's face. Her once delicate bridal makeup instantly became a mess. A moment later, I belatedly grabbed George's hand. Mr. George, please don't make things difficult for Olivia. Olivia must have thought this through, which means this man is her true love, the happiness she desires. In that case, call off the engagement. I'll let them be, and I wish you both well. My voice was unusually flat, betraying no emotional fluctuation. Jake finally breathed out a sigh of relief. Damn, what's there to keep with a woman like that? Brother, take my advice. Tonight, I'll handle it. The relatives and friends present looked at George and Olivia with even more disdain. Many people couldn't sit still, greeted my mother, and left. Seeing that, George panicked completely and hurried to my mother, saying it was all a misunderstanding and begging her not to cancel the engagement. Obviously, he understood even better than Olivia that everything the Parker family now had was given by the Johnsons. Without me, Parker Enterprises would have long ago been on the brink of bankruptcy. Where would their status be? They'd probably be out on the streets. If they could marry into the Johnsons, Parker's future business map would only climb higher. He could use it as a springboard into a higher echelon of wealthy circles. For the Parker family, it would be all benefit and no harm. Dad, don't force me. I will never marry him. I don't love him at all. If you force me to marry him, you're pushing me to die. Is that what will satisfy you? Olivia and Dylan interlaced their fingers and sneered at me disdainfully. Ethan, do you think doing this will make me grateful? I'll tell you, I hate you so much. Following me like a dog is making me sick. Are there no other women in the world? Why do you have to keep harassing me? Dylan and I are true love. You're helping me today. Someday I'll thank your whole family. But I should also thank you. Agree to break off the engagement and let me be with Dylan, or I will never let you off, and you will live in regret for the rest of your life. Ethan, don't think that by saying that we'll be grateful for your help. Don't think I don't know. You're trying to use Olivia's sympathy to make her hate me, so she'll come back to you, right? I'm telling you, stop dreaming. Olivia and I are true love. She will absolutely never leave me. Dylan glared at me, hatred and disdain flashing in his eyes, gripping Olivia's hand tightly, as if proclaiming himself the victor. Mr. George, rest assured, I will treat Olivia well. I may not be as outstanding as Ethan, but I will, through my own efforts, give Olivia a happy life, and I will make you see that choosing me as your son-in-law today was the right decision. I will expand Parker Enterprises and make it stronger than Johnson Group. Surpass every enemy standing in our way. Listening to his grand promises, it was clear his sights were set on Parker Enterprises. George felt annoyed, but a trace of relief and emotion crossed his face. He had once been an ordinary man with nothing. If he hadn't married Olivia's mother and received a compensation payout after her accidental death, he wouldn't have what he has today. Looking at Dylan now, he saw a reflection of his younger self, and his fists at his sides clenched in unwillingness. How'd I know what he's thinking? Because I know him. In this circle of wealthy families, he's one of the least respected. Parker Enterprises' rise wasn't just thanks to Johnson Group. Moreover, it was built on the huge compensation after Olivia's mother died. He looks like a successful businessman, but in outsiders' eyes, he's second-rate. That's why he's so eager to marry into the Johnsons. With them as a backing, not only would business expand smoothly, his status would rise as well. But his plans are now dashed because his daughter doesn't want status or position. She only wants so-called true love and the life she wants. At this point, George knew that pressing on would only make them a laughingstock. Forget it. Since you've decided, I won't say more. Just don't regret this choice later. In the end, George helplessly chose to compromise. Perhaps he saw his former self in Dylan, or maybe he wanted to take a gamble. He bowed to my mother to apologize, then said to me, "Ethan, this is our fault. I'm sorry for making things so ugly. I hope this won't affect the relationship between our two families. If you don't mind, I can take you in as my godson, give you a father, let you have a complete family, and you and Olivia can visit each other often and watch over her happiness." He looked at me with sincere eyes. His words stunned me. I blurted out, "Are you fucking crazy? Who do you think you are? What do you mean give me a father, damn?" This old bastard's got some nerve. Why should I care whether Olivia is happy or not? What does that have to do with me? Ethan, what nonsense are you spouting? Olivia scolded me with disgust. Watch how you speak to my father. It's your honor to be recognized as his godson, but I absolutely won't agree to it. I really hate you. Chasing after me like a dog. Can't you leave me alone? Besides, once I marry Dylan and live a happy life, seeing your face, where's the happiness in that? Listening to their back and forth, I nearly laughed from anger. My mother was breathing heavily with anger. Luckily, Mia stepped over in time to help soothe her. Otherwise, if she fainted from rage, I'd tear those two shameless people apart. I forced down my fury and sneered. "Do you two even know your place? What daydream are you having? Recognize me as a godson? You deserve that? Old man, your Parker Enterprises is just a third-rate company, not even as good as a subsidiary of Johnson Group. You aren't even worthy to tie our shoelaces. Have you ever thought that you're the ones reaching up to the Johnsons, not the Johnsons reaching down to you Parkers? Let me make it clear, in my eyes you are nothing. Take a piss and look at yourself. What a nerve, daring to want to be my father." I rolled my eyes speechless. George flushed red with anger, nearly fainting. All right. Damn. Jake jumped up excitedly from behind. "Ethan, you finally came to your senses. No longer that woman's bootlicker. Well said. Fuck. Why are you all staring at me? Isn't what I said the truth? Think highly of yourselves? Without my brother Ethan, you'd be sleeping on the street." I cut off Jake, who was ready to keep arguing. No need to waste words with them, and felt a surge of emotion. Jake and I grew up together. Thanks to his family's wealth, he wasn't completely irredeemable, but he was a reckless playboy. I'm an only child and was spoiled growing up. Apart from never breaking the law, I did plenty of outrageous things. Before my dad's accident, I had become everything I hated about myself. Only after my father died did I wake up. My mother could only rely on me then, and I gradually toned down, stopped acting recklessly. Then I met Olivia. She often PUA'd me, saying that besides having some money I was useless, worse grades, less attractive. If it weren't for money, nobody would be friends with me. Her words stung, and I slowly cut ties with that circle of rich second-generation kids. I devoted myself entirely to her, became her follower. Whatever she told me to do, I did. Sigh. My past self was blind to fall for a woman like her. Ethan, I'm warning you. Apologize to my father right now, or else I won't speak to you ever again. I'll never forgive you." Olivia fumed, hands on her hips, glaring at me as if saying, "I'm giving you a way out. Don't be shameless," which made me laugh. I stepped forward and slapped her. She froze instantly, no longer hysterical. "Olivia, you really think highly of yourself? What are you to dare demand that I apologize? Let me tell you." I called Jake over, put my arm around his shoulder, tore the groom's boutonniere from my chest, tossed it to the floor, and strode out. When I give face to the Parker family, whatever you say is right. When I don't give the Parker family face, haha, you're nothing. Mia hurried to support my mother and followed us out. The entire banquet hall was in chaos. Only Olivia and her group remained. She stared blankly at my departing back, humiliated and furious, and shouted, "Ethan, how dare you hit me? Fine. Remember this. I won't ever talk to you again. Don't come begging me." A few days later, I finally persuaded Mom to have a full checkup at a private hospital. While waiting for the results, Mom ran into an old friend. They hit it off and laughed so hard they were bent over. I sat quietly beside them, spending as much time as I could with her, watching her smile to make up for the guilt I felt in my last life. A few minutes later, the nurse handed me the report. Seeing all the numbers were within normal ranges, a huge weight lifted from my chest. In my last life, Mom's life had been cut short before her 55th birthday because of Olivia's provocation. Now that I had been reborn, I would never let Mom's health suffer again. I would make sure she was healthy in body and mind. I'm not without money. Listen, let me explain, okay? Give me 2 more days. I definitely can pay it back on time. Okay. Dylan's voice sounded not far away. I was surprised. Why was he at the hospital? From the sound of it, he seemed to owe someone money. I looked up puzzled and happened to see a nurse hugging him. He said something to her in a doting tone. She blushed and playfully hit his chest. "Oof. I'm not talking to you. I'm still on duty. Hurry and go." She glanced back every few steps, reluctant as she left. "Oh, so that's how you play it." I had always known Dylan wasn't a good guy, but I never expected him to play both sides. Not satisfied with flirting with Olivia, he was entangled with a nurse too. This kid really knows how to play. He didn't notice me. He walked into the stairwell and made a phone call. Curiosity got the better of me. I shifted position so I could hear his conversation. "What? They called you?" "Mom, don't worry too much. I will definitely be able to pay this money back. Don't worry. By the way, did you and Dad scrape together the money? Call me right away. I have a new girlfriend. Her family owns a company and they're very rich. Trust me, with my skills, she'll be devoted to me, and her family's assets will all be mine." "What? Useless. How many days has it been? You can't even borrow $30,000? No investment, no return. Do you really think rich people are fools? I'm telling you, if this time they delay me and the rich girl slips away, I'll deal with you. You two useless old things. Can't borrow the money? Then sell a kidney. You can raise quite a lot that way. Once I get her fortune, who's going to look after you in old age? If that's impossible, sell your younger brother. Didn't big sister and second sister sell off a lot before to pay for my university? Do the same this time. Don't worry. Once she and I are married, she'll listen to me. Then I'll pay many times over to buy our brother back." Hearing him say these things, I drew a sharp breath. This kid can no longer be called just a scumbag. He's not even human. A wry smile played at the corner of my mouth. "Olivia, oh, Olivia, is this the true love and happiness you chose? He didn't just scheme against you. He practically wanted to flay you alive, pull out your bones, and suck out the marrow. Huh, I want to see how this ends up." I quietly sat back in my original seat. Dylan, who had just finished the call, looked left and right, but still didn't notice me, and walked off directly. Mom saw him too. Seeing him in such a good mood, walking with a spring in his step, she couldn't help but look worried, as if she wanted to say something but held back, and finally sighed. "Son, are you still thinking about Olivia, she?" I hurriedly cut Mom off, shook my head, and said, "No way. Mom, don't worry. We'll leave after the checkup. By the way, that aunt who was talking to me earlier, do you remember her? She has a niece about your age. If you have time, why not meet and chat? Are you serious, Mom? I listened, feeling both helpless and amused. So all that chatting earlier was arranging a blind date for me? Really, it's not like your son is unwanted. See what you say. Mom only wants you to be happy. It's not you who lack fate with Olivia. It's them who are unlucky. Don't cling to her anymore. Seeing Mom getting a little angry, I quickly agreed. All right. I'll listen to you, Mom. Right now, I just want to spend more time with her and make up for the regrets in my heart. While waiting for the driver to come, my phone suddenly received several text notification sounds. Purchase notice. Hello, you spent $399,999 at the high luxury bespoke store. Purchase notice. Hello, you spent $299,999 at Hylon Home menswear store. Purchase notice. Hello, you spent at, damn. Seeing those purchase notifications, I slapped my thigh in fury. I fucking forgot. Olivia still had my unlimited supplementary card. She was going crazy swiping my card. And she was buying things for men. My fist clenched. My fist literally clenched. What a terrible woman. She actually spent my money buying things for that bastard Dylan. I've been busy these past few days persuading Mom to have a checkup and didn't have time to deal with many things. Fine, if she wants to play this way, I'll play along to the end. I glanced at the purchase locations. They weren't too far from here. I hurriedly instructed the driver to take Mom home first. I had something to handle. Seeing my urgency, Mom was worried but didn't ask more, only reminding me to come home early for dinner. I hailed a cab at the roadside and headed to that mall and received a call from the boutique manager. The bill for last month came out. Olivia spent over $1 million in 1 month. Previous bills were mostly settled monthly, and when the bill came out, I'd pay it off immediately. Now, they're calling because the news of Olivia and I canceling the engagement has spread. The managers of these high luxury brands are panicking. This isn't a small amount. Who should be responsible for paying? What if someone refuses to acknowledge it? The problem is both sides don't dare to offend each other, so they're helplessly hinting around. Do I look like a fool to you? Whoever spent the money and signed the receipt, go ask them. If you don't get paid, call the police. I said curtly and hung up. Only then did I realize the money spent on Olivia over the years is at least $5 million, if not $10 million. Comparable to a small publicly listed company's annual profit. I immediately called my assistant Chloe Davis and told her to take full charge of this matter. Whatever they swallowed, get it back for me. Although the Johnsons have a big business and aren't sure of this kind of money, I still don't want to let them off easy. Olivia doesn't deserve it. The moment I stepped into the mall, I saw Olivia and Dylan. No way. They were just too flashy. It had been less than half an hour since I'd seen him, and Dylan was already decked out head to toe in designer brands. Utterly smug, his nose practically in the air. He was carrying a dozen or so high-end shopping bags. Hermes belts, a Rolex, a bespoke suit, worth at least $1 million together, looking like a rich young master basking in the envious glances around him. Seeing that look on his face, I really wanted to walk up and slap him. But then again, with that getup, he did look a lot more put together than before, though still nowhere near me. Just a pretender. He only has that face and a smooth tongue. Otherwise, he is nothing. What right does he have to fool so many women? Seeing him dressed like a wealthy heir reminded me of the last lifetime, of an incident after Olivia and I married when we dealt with him once. I remember it was at a high-end gathering full of wealthy second-generation people, and he showed up to join in. Rumor had it he founded a small company and drove a sports car, making a grand entrance. But because he didn't have an invitation, the security stopped him at the door. I don't know what he said to the person in charge, but he was soon smilingly let in and started chatting with those rich kids. But he was never one of them. The crude habits deep in his bones couldn't be hidden, and he just couldn't fit into that circle. Even driving $1 million sports car and wearing outfits worth millions, he still came off like a country bumpkin. When a waitress passed by, he'd even grope her, grossing out the rich kids who all took a dislike to him. Later, someone to know whispered to us, "Don't be fooled by his current glory. He's just a kept man. There's a mysterious rich woman backing him. At the time, I just laughed it off and didn't care. Now I understand. That so-called mysterious rich woman must be Olivia, and I'm the sucker. Damn, she uses my money to prop him up, make him look wealthy, and now she dares to strut and provoke me in front of me. I was lost in thought and felt a wave of nausea when Olivia, walking toward me, saw me. The indulgent smile on her face vanished instantly, replaced by full-on disgust and contempt. She snapped coldly, "Ethan, what are you doing here? I'm telling you, I won't forgive you. Get out of here. I'm going to marry Dylan. Stop thinking about me. There's no way between you and me." Listening to her self-satisfied, self-righteous act, I was speechless to the point of almost vomiting, and I said coldly, "You think I came looking for you? Olivia, aren't you disgusted with yourself? What do you mean, spending my money to buy him things? Ain't no shame? Give the stuff back to me. Ethan, how dare you talk to me like that? I spend your money to give you face." Olivia snapped angrily. "Give you face? What a lot of face you claim to have. Who are you to me? What are you? Acting so entitled? Or is it the Parker family is done for? Can't even pull this much cash, still sucking Johnson blood?" I sneered at her, making her face flush and drawing a crowd of onlookers. "What? You swiped his card. You're spending his money." Dylan's smug expression instantly turned into vicious jealousy. He glared at me fiercely, afraid I'd steal Olivia and ruin his plan. Olivia saw the crowd growing and bit her lip anxiously, looking thoroughly aggrieved. "Why you talk so nastily? I don't care about your money. Do you really think I can't live without you, Ethan? I'm telling you, I was going to give you some face, but now it seems unnecessary." Then Dylan picked up the thread. He glared at me sinisterly. "Isn't your Johnson group very wealthy? What's wrong with spending some of your money? Must you be so stingy? Or is Johnson Group not as good as Parker Enterprises now? If I'd known it was your money, I wouldn't have bothered being polite." I rolled my eyes in silence. He spoke as if he'd ever been polite. The things he was holding were worth at least millions of dollars. "You're such a man. So petty. No wonder Olivia looks down on you." He swept Olivia into his arms, striking a pose of protecting her and confronting me, the bad guy. "Darling, don't worry. I'm here. I'll pay off this money for you. That disgusting man. You don't have to." "Stop." He made me laugh with anger. If there weren't so many onlookers, I'd have liked to slap him. "Are you out of your mind? You make less than $3,000 a month. How would you repay several $1,000,000? With your life? Ridiculous. Frankly, your life isn't worth that much." "You." Dylan was flustered by my words. He had nothing and was deeply insecure at heart, just putting on airs now to save face. "All right, enough." I cut him off impatiently, raising my voice to them and to the crowd. "I'll have my lawyer come by later to hand things over. Everything I've given you over the years, all the money I've spent on you, you will return it all to me. Or else. Ethan, do you have any shame? Those things were gifts from you. They belong to me now. What right do you have to demand I give them back?" Olivia's expression changed drastically. She stamped her foot in panic. If not for the crowd, she might have rushed up to tear me apart. Her hatred for me had reached an unprecedented level. "You will apologize to me now. Say you forgive me. Otherwise, I'll never forgive you." She thought I was joking, try to win her back this way. Ugh, I got goosebumps. How did I ever fall for a woman like this in my past life? It wasn't long before my assistant Chloe, accompanied by a lawyer, went to the Parker home. Following the inventory and payment records I provided, they practically emptied Olivia's room and brought back everything I had given her. However, many items couldn't be found. I don't know whether she gave them to someone else or sold them. When I got Olivia's furious questioning call, I was driving. "Ethan, why did you do this? How dare you treat me like this? Do you have to make me hate you to be happy? I'm telling you, I will not forgive you. I will never forgive you in this life. I'm marrying Dylan, so you..." "Shut the hell up. What a disgusting woman. You make me sick. Get out of my world right now. Those things are mine. I bought them. I gave them to you based on our marriage agreement. Now the engagement is canceled, and I have the right to take those things back. It's supported by law. What the hell are you shouting about, Olivia? She really annoyed me to death. I never want to be entangled with her again in this life. Get out of my sight. Do whatever you want. Marry whoever you want. Whether you're happy or not has nothing to do with me. You? Olivia had never heard me speak like that. She froze, then broke down crying. Ethan, you bastard. How dare you treat me like this? Fine. I'll live happily. You'll regret this. I will never forgive you in this life, even if you kneel and beg me. Beep, beep, beep. I impatiently hung up. That idiot was still jabbering on. No self-awareness at all. Holy shit. Snapping back to attention, I saw a woman lying on the zebra crossing ahead. I slammed the brakes and broke out in a sweat. Oh my God. I didn't hit her, did I? She was curled up in pain on the ground, her face a frightening pallor. I got out to check and found no obvious injuries. Immediately called the hospital, and with the help of bystanders, got her into the car. When I gripped the steering wheel, I realized both my hands were covered in blood, and I went cold. Damn, this is bad. If I had actually hit her in this second life, I wouldn't even have a chance to do anything before going to prison for decades. Until the ER doc walked out looking helpless and told me. The girl was fine. She had her period. The bleeding was heavy, which caused low blood sugar, so she fainted on the road. Thank God, what a scare. I thanked the doctor, hurried to the window to pay the remaining fees, then left the hospital. Back home, I saw the living room filled with items moved back from the Parkers and a bank card on the table. My sour mood finally eased a bit. Boss, what should we do with these? Chloe asked. Sell them for cash. These things have been used by Olivia. I found them disgusting and I didn't need them. Guess what happened next? While disposing of the items, Olivia happened to buy one of them and discovered it had been used by herself. She blew a fuse and phoned to curse me. Ethan, what are you trying to do? Trying to get my attention this way? Are you that childish? I'm sick of you. Get lost. My head rang. I snapped coldly. Olivia, are you fucking insane? I hung up and blocked all her contacts, thinking I'd finally get some peace. Boss. Chloe came in helplessly and handed me a wedding invitation printed with the character double happiness. I was stunned. It was Olivia and Dylan's wedding invitation. Why would they give this to me? Chloe looked wronged and said they insisted it had to be handed to me in person. By the way, I toyed with the invitation and called out to Chloe, who was about to leave, asking, when you went to the Parkers, did you take photos? Yes, boss. Why? If you... An idea formed, and a playful smile lifted my lips as I told her to deliver those things to a certain place. Good news. Olivia was kicked out of the Parkers. Apparently, her father cut ties with her. I was working when Jay called, sounding gleeful. I heard Dylan's parents somehow found the Parkers and didn't act like outsiders at all. They just moved in. At first, the Parkers were polite. Dylan also promised to send them back right after the wedding. But guess what? Dylan's dad actually peeped on Olivia's stepmother while she was bathing. She even wore the underwear she'd worn. You know what happened after that. When it was discovered, of course the Parkers blew up. They demanded Olivia break up with Dylan. George said he absolutely cannot be related by marriage to people with no class. But Olivia refused no matter what. Her father, in a fit of anger, had them all kicked out. He even said if they didn't break up, they should never come back. That infuriated Dylan's parents too. Rich people, huh? Looking down on others, as if we're desperate for their daughter. They told the Parkers straight out that Olivia was pregnant. Ha ha. If they don't acknowledge the match, force her to abort the child. George, of course, couldn't bear it. But the child could be born, the marriage could not happen. No matter what, they refused to accept Dylan and his uncouth, uneducated family as in-laws. Olivia was caught in the middle and torn, but she loved Dylan deeply, and in the end she chose love over family. Dylan's parents weren't polite either. They said marriage was fine, but they needed a show of sincerity. Not much. $300,000 is not too much, right? That ridiculous? I couldn't hold it in. Were they asking Olivia to pay a dowry? They didn't want to spend a penny. Haha, fine by me. Jake continued. You want to know how I found out? Olivia came to my sister Mia to borrow money. Ha ha ha. Mia came to me to borrow money, and you wouldn't be the one asking me for money, would you? I suddenly became alert. Ha ha. He laughed shamelessly, and I couldn't help laughing too. The Olivia of the previous life was never this bedraggled. She actually stooped to borrowing money from others. Until she killed me. I never spared her a single cent listening to Jake go on. I couldn't hide the smile at the corner of my mouth. This had nothing to do with me. I had simply had Chloe send the wedding invitations and pictures of the Parker family mansion, along with some related matters, back to Dylan's hometown, Linton Village. After hanging up, I suddenly remembered the girl I'd sent to the hospital and wondered if she'd been discharged. When I got to the hospital, the doctor said she had already left, and only then did I relax. But when I returned home, I saw a thin figure skulking suspiciously in front of my door. I thought it was Olivia and was about to call security, but it turned out to be the girl who had left the hospital. Hey, what are you doing? She was startled, flustered, stammering. I want to thank you. No need. Seeing you faint and taking you to the hospital was the right thing to do. I was curious how she knew where I lived. I asked a lot of people. She kept her head down, timid, nervously twisting the hem of her clothes, tears shining in her eyes. I was a bit stunned. For some reason, she looked somewhat familiar, like I'd seen her somewhere, yet also strange. Do we know each other? Her expression instantly became panicked, the grievance in her eyes swelling as she bit her lip and shook her head, saying we didn't. Don't cry. I was at a loss. I'm most afraid when girls cry. I have no idea how to comfort them. Even though I've lived 2 lives, I've had very little contact with girls. Almost all my attention has orbited Olivia. I didn't know how to interact with her, only that whatever she told me to do, I would do like a loyal follower. Apart from a few lines like, I'm out of money, send me some, we hardly spoke at all, let alone any affectionate gestures. Oh, there was a one time she showed me a pleasant face and even called me dear husband. That day she said she had cooked something delicious for me, wanted to apologize, make amends, and be a proper, capable wife. I was so moved I could barely think straight, convinced she had finally changed her mind, seeing my goodness and my sacrifices. In the end, that one time was when she drugged me and poisoned me to death. She stepped on my body, humiliating me wantonly, trampling my dignity. The girl's timid voice pulled me back to reality. She fumbled some wrinkled coins from her pocket. I don't have much money. I'll give you these for now. When I have money later, I'll definitely pay you back. Pay me back. I let out a half-amused, half-bewildered laugh and didn't take them, studying her with interest. For some reason, the more I looked, the more familiar she seemed. Had I never seen her before? I just couldn't remember. You drove me to the hospital before I don't have much, but I don't want to owe anyone. Her voice grew smaller, breaking with sobs. She shoved the money into my hand and ran off without looking back. I was stunned for a moment before regaining my senses and wanted to chase her, but when I looked up, she had already vanished. My mother's social circle wasn't big, and the women in it were mostly gossipers who often told my mother things about Olivia. Mom always came home with a worried look, sighing and fretting, which drove me up the wall. I arranged a trip for her to get some fresh air and had Chloe accompany her, so I could be more at ease. After sending Mom off on the plane, I immediately went to find Jake to eat, but he couldn't focus on his meal. He was too busy enjoying the gossip, laughing so hard his face was nearly crooked. What are you looking at, kid? Listen to me. When he heard my voice, he hurried over with his phone. Olivia got married today. What's so funny about that? I said, unamused and not wanting to look, but he insisted. No, you have to hear this first. Dylan's hometown is in a very remote countryside, Linton Village. The nearest town is a 3-hour drive on dirt roads, which totally traumatized the pampered Olivia. And that's not all. Dylan's house was nothing like he described. It was a tiny mud brick shack. The rooms were filthy and chaotic. There wasn't even a complete bedboard, and chickens and ducks were running around inside. On the first night after the wedding, a palm-sized mouse crawled onto her, nearly driving her insane with fright. Ha ha ha. I couldn't help but laugh too, feeling no sympathy, only boundless disgust. In the last life, she did so many monstrous things to me. Even if in this life she hadn't had a chance to attack me yet, I could never forgive her. Don't tell me about her anymore. Having been given another life, I only wanted to live my own life well. As for everything else, let it blow away with the wind. Oh, and after all this happened, I withdrew Johnson Group's investments and project support from Parker Enterprises. On top of that, George had been arrogant and contemptuous with my backing before, offending many powerful people. Without Johnson Group's support, major partners and project parties pulled their investments and fled. That's the truth of when the tree falls and the monkeys scatter, the wall collapses, and everyone pushes. By the way, didn't I tell you last time they demanded Olivia bring $300,000 as a dowry before they'd agree to the marriage? I suddenly wondered too. She was kicked out of the Parker house. Where did the money for a wedding come from? I heard she sold her own sister. She has a sister? How come I didn't know? I was stunned. That can't be right. When did Olivia have a sister? In my last life, I spent so much time with her and never heard of one. Now, suddenly one appears. If it's not a butterfly effect from my rebirth, then Olivia had a secret she hid from me for 2 lifetimes. Yeah, Jake didn't know much either, but he still told me everything. This sister was born to Olivia's mother. Her mother died in childbirth. She's younger than Olivia. I think her name is Sophia. Her father, George, hated this daughter, blamed her for his wife's death, and sent her back to their hometown, Linton Village, to keep her mother's inheritance all to himself, so her mother's family wouldn't know another daughter existed. So he's hidden her all these years. Outsiders never knew the Parkers had 2 daughters. Apparently the girl went missing some years ago and no one could find her. Everyone assumed she was dead. In fact, she ran away on her own, working and studying by herself. Seemed like she was looking for someone. Looking for whom? For some reason my heart suddenly clenched and my head started to hurt. Right then my mind was filled with the girl I'd sent to the hospital who later came to find me. I finally realized. No wonder she looked familiar. She shares some resemblance with Olivia. But their temperaments are completely different. If I'm right, now I understand why she had tears in her eyes and looked so wronged. Don't know exactly who she was looking for. Tell me first, where was she sold to? When did this happen? Why are you so worked up? Jake was startled by my reaction and quickly checked the chat history. The matter had already spread in their circle. Look, it was this morning. You know that fat jerk Tyler? He likes to mess with girls in their bloom. Olivia used $30,000. Tell me the address. I'll go with you. Seeing my reaction, my childhood friend Jake immediately realized something, hurried to grab his bodyguard and rushed over. When we arrived and kicked the door open, we saw a girl curled up in a corner, trembling with fear. The moment she saw me, as if spotting a lifeline, she threw herself into my arms. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I'm so scared. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Big brother will protect you. No sooner had I finished than her frail body visibly stiffened. Then she cried louder and more grieved. Brother, you remember me? You remember me. How could brother forget you? I'm sorry. My heart nearly shattered. My mind went blank and buzzed. How could this be? The girl who once watched the night sky with me out in the suburbs turned out not to be Olivia, but you motherfucker. Jake wasn't stupid. Seeing this, he guessed the situation and his face went dark. He glared at Tyler, who was clutching his head on the ground, gnashing his teeth. Jake went up and kicked him, then immediately called the police. When the police arrived, Tyler knew he was in the wrong and begged for our forgiveness, but I didn't say a word. I carried the frightened girl away and left everything else to Jake. I trusted he wouldn't let me down. Brother, I missed you so much. I've been looking for you for a long time. Until I put her in the back seat of the car. She woke in my arms, utterly overcome with grief. I couldn't say a word, only holding her tightly in my arms, forcing a bitter smile. My heart was full of mixed emotions, my thoughts in chaos, but I didn't feel sad. It turned out the person I had always loved was not Olivia, but her sister Sophia, who looked somewhat like her. My memory of her stopped 6 years ago, the last time we watched the night sky together. Watching the stars twinkle, she said, "Brother, can you promise me? Never leave me. I don't want you to become a star in the sky." Silly girl, don't say that. Even if I become a star, I'll light the way for you in the dark. It was after that night that I never saw her again, and no matter what I tried, I couldn't find her. Years later, I entered university, and amid the crowd, I saw Olivia, who looked a bit like her at a glance. And from then on, my life turned into what could be called nightmare. I no longer knew how to describe my feelings. I only knew that I had to hold this girl in my arms tightly. I could not lose her again, nor could I let her suffer anymore. Suddenly, I felt very fortunate. The girl I had liked for so long turned out not to be Olivia, but the kind and innocent girl from my memories. I'm sorry, it's all brother's fault for not protecting you. I hugged her hard. She cried even harder in my arms. To prevent a similar accident from happening again, I brought Sophia to live at our home. When Mom returned from her trip and opened the door to see Sophia, who looked like Olivia, she nearly fainted from anger. "Ethan, you little bastard. How could you agree to this? Didn't you promise not to, Mom? Don't get so worked up. Let me explain first. I had a pounding headache. I had forgotten to prepare Mom beforehand. Mrs. Johnson, I'm not Olivia. Sophia was also flustered, nervously stammering. After Mom heard my explanation, she still found it hard to believe that two sisters could look so alike. "It's true." I laughed through my tears, not knowing how to make her believe. Fortunately, the household staff and bodyguards had met Sophia and could vouch that she was a kind girl, definitely not someone like Olivia, sharp-tongued, arrogant, and disdainful. Only then did Mom accept it. Sophia was very charming as well. In less than a day, she had coaxed Mom into smiles and gained her affection. Mom even insisted on adopting her as a goddaughter, leaving me speechless. Sophia bowed her head shyly and stole a glance at me. "Mrs. Johnson, I didn't hear the rest of what she said. All I knew was that from that day on, Mom's expression toward me and toward Sophia had changed, with a smile that never left her lips. During this period, I was busy handling the company's affairs, often working until the early morning, dragging my tired body home. But every time I returned, there was a small light on in the living room, and Sophia would be curled up on the sofa, sleeping peacefully, her cheeks pink and adorable. My heart gradually softened. Having someone at home leave a light on and wait for me felt so warm. Several times I tentatively asked her, "Do you have someone you like?" "Yes. I have someone I like. I've liked him for many years. I don't know if he likes me." I looked up and met her eyes. Her ear tips instantly flushed with shame. I pursed my lips and smiled, reaching up to pinch her soft little nose. "He likes you very much too." Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye more than half a year had passed. Jay came to tell me about Olivia again. She had come back with the child and Dylan. At first, George refused to let them in no matter what, but he couldn't stand his stepmother's persuasion, and considering his age and that the company needed someone to take over or it would fall into outsiders' hands, George had no choice but to nod and let Olivia and Dylan return home. Dylan was very purposeful. He tried every trick to curry favor with George and the stepmother, and before long he smoothly took over the company's affairs. After a while, seeing that Dylan behaved fairly properly, George conceived the idea of retiring and transferred his shares to Olivia. Unexpectedly, Olivia betrayed him. She turned around and transferred all the shares to Dylan. That was George's backing for her. To give it all away, so unreservedly, was simply, George was nearly driven mad with anger. After completely taking control of Parker Enterprises, the first thing Dylan did was bring his parents, who lived far in the countryside, into the city to live with them. The Parker household, which had finally settled, immediately descended into chaos again. The stepmother could no longer tolerate Dylan's father constantly peeking at her while she bathed. In a fit of anger, she moved out of the Parker house, declaring she'd rather be without them. But Dylan's parents clung on like leeches, shamelessly refusing to leave, making a very ugly scene. In the end, George was so upset he was hospitalized. One day, I finally had some free time, so I took Sophia to the mall to shop. Although she lacked for nothing now, I still wanted to give her the best. To my surprise, as soon as we walked in, we ran into those two unlucky people, Olivia and Dylan. I rolled my eyes silently and planned to walk around them. But Olivia spotted me at once. "Ethan, why are you here again? Didn't I tell you?" She looked very haggard now, her eyes lacking their former arrogance. But upon seeing me, she still tried to put on an act. Then she saw Sophia beside me and went completely blank. She reached to take Dylan's hand, but Dylan, proudly smug, stepped in front of me and looked me up and down with disdain from a superior position. "Oh, what a coincidence. Isn't this Mr. Johnson? Long time no see. I thought your Johnson Group had gone bankrupt. Let me tell you, under my leadership, Parker Enterprises has already—" "Shut up." I tightened my grip on Sophia's hand. She trembled with fear when she saw Olivia, clearly recalling bad memories. I was too tired to waste words with them and cut across to a nearby store. Unexpectedly, Dylan followed like a dog. "Mr. Johnson's girlfriend is really pretty. She even resembles my wife in some ways. Have you still not let my wife go? Haha, let me tell you. What nonsense are you spouting?" My good mood for the whole day was ruined. I was utterly speechless. If I'd known they were here, I definitely wouldn't have come. But since we were here, at least we'd buy something before leaving. No matter what I picked out, that brat Dylan immediately ordered the shop assistant to wrap it up, gleefully competing with me. From ugly-looking expensive watches and gaudy custom suits to last season's unsellable leather shoes, there were hundreds of items in total. Watching Dylan stagger under a dozen shopping bags, sweat soaking him through, Sophia suddenly realized something and leaned toward my ear, giggling. "You're a big meanie." "Huh, caught me." I affectionately tousled Sophia's hair in front of them, pushing their buttons hard, especially Olivia, whose face went pale then flushed. Clearly she wasn't stupid. She quickly sensed something was off, her eyes full of contempt and disgust for Dylan, silently cursing him for being foolish and shameful. 10 minutes later, the sales clerks were sweating with excitement. Only after confirming the store had no unsellable leftovers did I finally stop, still savoring it. Dylan, burdened with bags large and small, walked past stores where salespeople stood at the doors, snickering as they watched his retreating back. He still hadn't realized he'd been played. Instead, he sneered at me smugly. "Mr. Johnson, I stole the things you liked. You must be mad, right? Can't help it. This proves I'm better than you. You're just—" Before he finished, I feigned surprise and cut him off. "Are you stupid enough to have been kicked by a donkey? You don't really think this trash is what I like, do you? Your taste is appalling. Clearly we're not from the same world." He was left speechless by my words. All he had done was try to prove he's upper class by spending lavishly. Yet the deep-rooted insecurity in him kept reminding him he's just a freeloader Phoenix man, not a true tycoon. Come to think of it, I should thank Mr. Reed. The things you bought are exactly what I wouldn't touch. Only you would flaunt them like treasures. Oh, and one more thing. As we were leaving, I pretended to remember something and smiled at him. This mall is property of the Johnson family. Huh, that's hilarious. Sophia couldn't hold back her laughter any longer. Her smile was completely different from Olivia's, innocent and adorable. The salesgirls behind us laughed uproariously as well. In just a few minutes, their sales had already equaled half a year's performance, and they shouted, "Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed is so generous. Come back anytime." He had spent millions on merchandise that had been piled up for ages and was about to be taken off the shelves and destroyed. "You are the epitome of stupidity. You embarrass me." Olivia finally couldn't help but rebuke Dylan coldly. Seeing the mockery at her lips, Dylan flew into a rage and slapped her. "Bitch, what are you saying? You knew this mall was his. Why did you bring me here? How dare you hit me?" "Dylan, when has Olivia ever endured such indignity?" Her face contorted and she lunged at him, and in their scuffle she accidentally slammed into a nearby display and split her head open, blood gushing. Dylan was so frightened he ran off on the spot, leaving me stunned. He abandoned his own wife. I had no choice but to have someone call an ambulance. Of course, I was afraid she might die in my mall. The next day, I saw Olivia at the company entrance, her head wrapped in bandages. The moment our eyes met, I saw deep guilt and regret in her, and a terrible premonition gave me goosebumps. The next second, she hurried toward me, trying to embrace me. I recoiled in alarm and quickly stepped aside. "What are you doing?" "I'm sorry." "Ethan, I'm sorry. You were reborn too, weren't you? That's why you broke off the engagement. I thought we were married now. I wanted to make amends." "Stop." I was stunned. "Olivia also reborn? What right does that killer have to be reborn and feel regret?" "And she still won't let me go. From what she says, it's clear she was only reborn in the past 2 days, not earlier. So she thinks we're already married, when in fact I had long broken off the engagement and let her marry Dylan as she wanted. What regret does she think she has now?" "Whatever, I don't care to know. I don't want to know. I don't know what you're talking about." "Miss Parker, there is nothing between us anymore. You are married and you have the happiness you wanted. Please stop bothering me." "I won't." "Ethan, I know I was wrong. I regret it. Just let me get out." "Security. Security." I remembered how she looked before she died and what she said, and a chill ran through me. I couldn't help trembling. "Get out of here right now. As far away as you can. Don't ever appear in front of me again." Of course, she refused to leave. Tears kept falling, and her whole body was shaking. "I know. You must have been reborn too. Otherwise, why would you react so strongly? Didn't you used to love me? Don't drive me away, okay? I really know I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was ridiculously wrong. Forgive my past naivety for foolishly believing Dylan's words. I never expected him to be that kind of person. After I caused your death, I took all your property, but when he saw the money, he disowned me and kicked me away in a foreign country. I wandered in a strange place, searching for him everywhere, and finally found him. It didn't need saying. She was disposed of by Dylan, then reborn. Ethan, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I've been punished and paid the price." "Paid the price? What price could you possibly have paid?" Hearing that, I laughed in anger, wanted to slap her. The misfortune and punishment she talked about were all choices she resolutely made herself. Back then, she thought it was happiness. Now that she realizes it wasn't, she starts to regret it. And what about me? What am I supposed to be? I gave my life to find out that the woman I'd loved for so many years was a complete and utter bitch. I gave her my heart and soul, chased her for 4 years, married her for 3, and never even got a kiss. She claimed to be conservative, yet she'd already been defiled by that bastard Dylan. She angered my mother to death, and in the end, she killed me. Forgive her? Huh. I'm sorry. I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me. This time I want to live well with you. Since heaven has given us a second life, it must be because there is still love between us. I promise, this lifetime I will never. Shut up. I snapped, unable to bear it, glaring at her, as if I wanted to rip her mouth apart. She was disgusting. For what you did to me, the fact that I haven't killed you already is the greatest mercy I could offer. Olivia, have some shame. Reborn life is to get away from you, to make up for all the regrets of the last life. I ask you, did you know from the start that the one I loved was Sophia, not you, Olivia? I. Her face went completely pale. She stammered and couldn't form words. I screamed hysterically. You deceived me so brutally. Why did you lie to me? You nearly fooled me for 2 lifetimes. Your heart is wicked. You make me sick, despicable. After recognizing Sophia, I had people investigate the matter. Back then, Sophia didn't come to find me because Olivia discovered her. Olivia was jealous that her sister had caught the affection of the sole heir of the Johnson Group, so she secretly tampered and sent Sophia away. A few years later, she let time change her appearance, blurred certain details, and finally appeared before me on the day of university. So the chance encounter I thought happened back then was actually a carefully planned deception by her. Her goal, of course, was to get close to me, a son of the Johnson Group. but she despised me deep down and only wanted to use me, to make me pay with my body as the price. That was absolutely impossible. She already had someone she liked. From the start, she had been planning to use the Johnson family's influence to help the Parker family make money. And once they had earned enough, she'd kick me aside. It was on the wedding day that she chose to show up with Dylan and to reveal and cancel the engagement because she thought she had made enough. She believed everything was under her control, but she didn't expect the Johnson Group's influence to be so great. After Parker Enterprises left the Johnson Group, it became worthless. As the company's performance plummeted, she came back to me, proposing that we could marry, but that we must maintain cooperation with Parker Enterprises. So the marriage in the previous life was not forced by me at all. Later, she grew colder toward me. She once allowed me to hold her hand, but then forbade even touching her. Even speaking to her would earn her insults. I was trapped in her mental abuse and PUA, and unable to bear it, I wanted a divorce. If there was no love, we could part amicably. But she panicked, made a huge scene, and refused a divorce no matter what. At first, I didn't understand. But now I finally know. What she wanted never changed. Money, lots and lots of money. She was vain and craved admiring looks. Though she was the daughter of an insignificant company, by hooking up with the Johnsons, she transformed into the brightest presence among the second-generation rich. Of course, she wouldn't allow that dazzling light to fade. Besides, she could frequently be around the man she liked. Such a life was absolutely perfect. What else do you know? Olivia was completely flustered. I know everything I need to know. I forced down my anger, called security again, and hurried to throw her out. Yes, that's right. I lied to you, she cried wildly, screaming in a frenzy. I knew you didn't love me, but I couldn't let go. I couldn't live without you. Ethan, only after I caused your death did I realize the one I love most is you. I regret it so much, but I couldn't help it. That bitch Sophia. Slap. This time I didn't hold back and slapped her. Sure enough, she froze and stopped tearing up. You dared to hit me. You actually hit me. She clutched her stinging cheek, unbelieving. Right? She'd just been reborn, so she had no memory of the slap I gave her at the wedding. Fine, I'll give her another one. You actually hit me for her. Seeing me step closer, she stumbled back, screaming and raving. Come on. I was about to explode. What if I slapped her again? Didn't she say she knew she was wrong? Then let me teach you a proper lesson. Ethan, you hit me for that bitch. You think I'm dirty, but what do you think she is? I'll tell you, in the last life, I sold her to that fat Tyler. She was tortured to death. She'd been through everything you can imagine and everything you couldn't. And in this life, I sold her off too. If nothing had happened, right now she would. I saved her. My cold words left her stunned. Impossible. You couldn't. Olivia, I really don't know what face you have. How dare you impersonate someone else, enjoy everything that wasn't yours, and in the end, cause her death? Someone as wicked as you doesn't deserve reincarnation. It would have been better if you went straight to hell. Maybe giving you a second chance at life was meant to let you watch everything that used to be yours no longer belong to you. This is my last warning. Damn it. After calling security for ages, someone finally arrived and grabbed the crazed woman. Don't ever show up in front of me again, or I won't hesitate to pay you back in full for what you did to me in your past life. After saying that, I didn't dare linger. I had a bad feeling and hurried home. Only when I saw Sophia on the couch, hugging a pillow and watching cartoons, laughing so hard she couldn't sit up, did a huge weight lift from my chest. Didn't you just leave for work? Why are you back so soon? Before she could finish, I ran over and pulled her into my arms, holding her tightly. I won't leave you. Never. After that day, Olivia became like a piece of chewing gum I couldn't shake off. No matter where I went, she always found me. So annoying. Thankfully, the place I live has strong security, and I made it clear to blacklist her so she couldn't get in. Otherwise, I was really afraid she'd come in while I was out, frighten my mom to death, and take Sophia away. Later, she staged herself under the Johnson Group building, surrounded by flowers and wearing a wedding dress, loudly announcing she was going to propose to me. She attracted a crowd. Company employees gossiped, and I watched feeling both melancholic and amused. Wasn't my previous self like that? Per her request, I had made a public proposal under the Parker Enterprises building. The front page went crazy. The CEO of Johnson Group proposing to the heiress of Parker Enterprises? That was definitely seen as marrying down. Guess what happened? In front of the reporters and cameras, she rejected my proposal with a look of contempt, saying she wasn't that vulgar, that I'd dared to propose with just a few pathetic flowers. She said I didn't deserve her. The front pages went nuts again. The CEO of Johnson Group was rejected, claiming to love her deeply and that he couldn't be without her. Overnight, Parker Enterprises stock shot up like a rocket, making everyone rich. And I was just a tool. Back then, I was blinded by love and didn't think. I simply did whatever she asked. Now the tables have turned. Everything she went through was exactly what she had asked me to do in the last life. My assistant told me they couldn't drive her away no matter what. The security was at a loss because so many people were watching, they couldn't use force. If that's the case, I thought, so I didn't hold back and told my assistant to call Dylan. They're still legally married, not divorced at all, and that guy's a proud fool. His wife runs to her former fiancé's company building to propose. If word gets out, wouldn't that be a huge slap in his face? He wouldn't just sit idly by. Sure enough, not long after, Dylan appeared with a dark face, roughly trying to drag her away. Olivia, of course, refused. As a result, he showed no mercy. He beat her in the street and then mercilessly threw her into a car. After that, I never saw her again. I wasn't curious about how she was treated. I only knew that life had finally become much quieter. Later, Jake often told me what good deeds Dylan had done. He sold off company shares, kept mistresses, more than one. Well, I knew that and had seen one of them. He brought uneducated uncles from the countryside into Parker Enterprises management, turning Parker Enterprises into his own pocket. The employees, having no faith in such inexperienced leaders, were naturally resentful. How could outsiders lead them in business? Crucially, they understood nothing and only knew how to boss people around. Bit by bit, they drove the staff into chaos, and many couldn't stand it and quit. Without the support of competent employees, the bluffing Dylan was quickly exposed. He knew nothing about product development or business operations. Product quality deteriorated, new releases were worse than stalled goods, and large numbers of partners canceled contracts, forcing the company to pay heavy penalties. Until the board realized Parker Enterprises had a huge deficit and furiously convened a meeting to fire him. Originally, he held enough shares to veto any shareholder decision, but he had squandered and sold off so much of his stock that there wasn't much left. Did the firing end things? No. The company's huge losses required him to repay, or else he'd be glad to see him locked up for the rest of his life. The Parker family was also unstable. George discovered his wife was actually involved with Dylan's father. In a fit of anger, he ended up back in the hospital and decisively chose divorce, leaving him not a cent in the property division. The next day, he disappeared from the hospital. Rumor was he ran off abroad with the money and would no longer be bothered. With no one to clean up after him, Dylan finally sold the Parker mansion and borrowed a few $1,000,000 from former partners, barely covering the deficit. But the debts were still impossible to pay. Facing massive debt with no options, he fled with his parents back to their rural Linton village. Before leaving, he didn't forget Olivia, whom he'd locked up and driven insane, and that half-grown child. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly and sigh. Olivia, is this the life you wanted? Is this the happiness you insisted on? She would never again leave those endless mountains and fields. She would never again see the bustling skyscrapers of the city. Yet it wasn't a pity. Wasn't this what she loved and longed for? Later, I received a text she sent from someone else's phone. It was full of claims that life there was bad, that she knew she was wrong and deeply regretted what she had done to me, begging me to give her a chance to make amends. If she could do it over, she said she would never get entangled with Dylan. She wanted to marry me, bear my children, wanted to. I didn't finish reading the message. I deleted it immediately and even changed my number so she'd never find me. By then, everything about her was no longer my concern. Let the past be past. A year and a half later, Sophia finished her studies. The night of the graduation celebration was also the night she had prepared for me, a surprise marriage proposal. I didn't hesitate to say yes. The wedding was simple. She no longer had parents, and I only had my mother. Where there were supposed to be 4 seats, only one person sat now. It looked empty, but carried a satisfying fullness. I rented a castle in Europe for her and gave her a princess-like wedding, with blessings from our mutual friends. On the night the wedding ended, instead of retiring to the bridal chamber, we lay on the rooftop gazing at the starry sky. Could you still recognize which star is your mother? We chatted like when we were children, leaning on each other in the cold night. Across the vast sky, countless stars shimmered. She widened her eyes, searching for a long time, then suddenly kissed my cheek. The star I want to see is in your eyes. As she said this, tears welled up at the corners of her eyes, her voice choking, and she gently collapsed into my arms, quietly sobbing. She wasn't sad, but moved, and my heart was full of mixed emotions. Having lived 2 lives and gone through so much, I finally grasped the happiness that belonged to me. She, too, had found me amidst endless hardships, returned to my side, and became my only one. Do you remember what you told me? The brightest star must be the person who means the most to us. Look, now the whole sky seems to be shining for you. I held her tightly and gently kissed her lips. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note, with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. "Oh my God, it really is you, Mary." Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. "Frank, it's been a long time." She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, "Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew." A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. "Aren't you allergic to mangoes?" I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, "Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing." I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. "When did you start smoking?" I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor." I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. "Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level." Frank's eyes widened. "You mean, she's not Mary?" "I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up." 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. "Mary is an only child. We all know that." I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. "George, Mary is going to have a baby," my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that?" I managed to ask. "Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. "It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life." My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. "Mary, could you come here for a moment?" I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. "Did you forget about this?" I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. "George, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain that you're not Mary at all." Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. "What's going on with you two?" "Mom, take a look at this." I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. "What's going on?" "Mary, you can't have children." "Of course she can," I sneered, "because she's not Mary at all." My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I can explain." She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. "That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly." My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. "George, you're being too paranoid." My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. "Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the third day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. They're after your painting, the private detective asserted, and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust. I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. It's taking too long, Tom said irritably. How much longer until he sells the painting? Don't worry, she soothed him. I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money. You're really pregnant? That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly. Does Annie know the truth? She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help. I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. You don't actually have feelings for George, do you? Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word. Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it. Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. This is a surprise I prepared for you, I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. To celebrate the new life we're about to begin. She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. It's beautiful, thank you. She smiled as she prepared to put it on. Wait, I stopped her. Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back? She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. What's wrong? Don't you like it? I asked, feigning ignorance. No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved. She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace. I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, after all, this is your final design. Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light. On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon, I replied with a smile. This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it. Mary immediately chimed in. Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future. I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting. Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up, Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle Eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to Eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank. Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only a year and a half. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I study jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, The Pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall, but there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice, and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, in memory dedicated to teacher Mary. Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. New friend? He asked me quietly. Mary's student, I explained simply. Very talented. Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of teacher Nicole and teacher George. After the exhibition, the three of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. Mr. George, Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. I've always had a question I wanted to ask you. What is it? After you finished The Pursuit, what are you planning to create next? The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since The Pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. I haven't decided yet, I answered honestly. It might take some time to find a new direction. Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. Maybe, Nicole said softly, you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further. I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. You mean, creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry? Exactly. Nicole said excitedly, your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect. The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, I have to confess something. I looked at her in confusion. I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you, she said candidly. I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion. Her sincerity moved me. You're already on that path, and you're doing very well. Then, may I consult you often? She asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, See, I knew you would find a new direction. When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. Not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. "Am I really up to the task?" she asked me in the studio. "You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone," I assured her. "That's exactly what I need." In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. "This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it." At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's all right," I said with a smile. "I think Mary really would like it. She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself." Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, "Professor George, may I ask you a personal question?" "What is it?" "When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole." I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. "I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare," she said at last. "I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well." As she left, she handed me a small package. "These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them." Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. "The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design." "Perhaps," I said. "Everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, Teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger. In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. "You have feelings for her. That's obvious." "That's just professional rapport," I argued. "Is that so?" Frank looked at me meaningfully. "Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France?" I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. I know what you're worried about. Frank lowered his voice. You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you? I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. Mary has been gone for 3 years now. Frank gently patted my shoulder. She would want you to be happy. After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months. Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. This experience has meant so much to me. I should be thanking you, I said sincerely. Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed. We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. My flight is the morning after tomorrow, Nicole finally said. I still have some things to take care of tomorrow, so this is probably the last time we'll see each other. 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there. She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity. What is it? I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works. She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. I didn't know that, I said in surprise. I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion. Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you. I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond, she gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was, I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. "Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project," a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. "Mary, the exhibition was a great success today," I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. "Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted." Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. "Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me." A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, "I've been thinking about something." "What is it?" "If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, you might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met." Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. "Perhaps that's the irony of fate," I said softly. "Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings." When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. "Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path." "Luna," I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, "Her skills have improved a lot. She truly has talent." "Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars," I sighed. "Everyone deserves a second chance." That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. "You mean?" "A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration," she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. "Love." I finished her sentence. "No matter what form it takes." Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. "We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration." "Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project." "We have time," she smiled, holding my hand. "We have so much time." In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines two embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the eternal ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, we'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.